Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us. Jeff Wilson back on the program. We've had Jeff on before. So many interesting things to talk about. Jeff is the author of Life's Cheat Sheet, Crucial Success Habits School Never Taught You, and we all can relate to that. And his website is lifescheatsheets.com. As I mentioned on the program before, Jeff, when he's 17 years old, decides to skip school, goes off, takes a hall pass, and buys his first rental property. He was a CFO by 21, COO at 27, CEO and millionaire at 31, general counsel for a high-tech company at 38. He started, ran, and owned businesses as well as turned around distressed companies for 25 years, helping those entities reach record sales and profits many years. Same time serving on boards, consulting, pro bono work, teaching at colleges. He's got a JD, he's a licensed attorney in Ohio and Michigan, MBA, MHCA, CMA, CBM, BS, and AA in management, marketing, computer science, finance, and law, and he's your expert for the next few minutes on This Week in America. Jeff, great to have you back with us on the program.
Good to be back.
So many interesting things we want to talk about. We're going to talk about negotiation in just a few seconds. The first thing, it's sort of the premise for taking life skills that you learned and transferring those to so many kids just getting out of college, young adults getting out of college. Student debt is just overwhelming, and I want to talk about that again at the beginning. How do you deal with that?
You're going to have to do a financial assessment of where you're at currently. That's the easiest way I know how, especially people that are phobic a little bit with numbers. Look at your income sources, how much and when, your expenses in detail, how much and when, what's your net income, or in this case could be loss. Wherever you're at, get a picture now, and you've got to set a plan because you get a lot of times 6 months grace period before the student loan debt starts coming in, and then the payments start. And so you've got to build that into your process and figure out what you need in that financial picture to make it at least even for now, and then where you'll go from there. And so find that out, measure it now, and then get a plan together. Life's Cheat Sheets. I love that title. When did you decide, okay, there are things that I've learned in real life? Because I started this at 17, you're doing rental property. I learned a lot of things in addition to the book learning. When did you decide this is good information? I got to write a book. I got to put a series together to help people not only using the education they get in college, but what I learned on the streets. I did that when I sold my last company. I was CEO of that company and ultimately owned a chunk of it. And we sold it. And as I phased out of it, I finished law school, finished all that, sold all my rentals. So I became liquid, basically, and decided, what do I want to do now? As I've been in this 20 years. And saw my nephew graduating high school and recognized, wow, there's a lot of things I used that I didn't get in classrooms and all those degrees. And that was the light bulb that said, let's pull all those skill sets together. And I was actually interviewing. I was figuring out, do I want to go back into a company or a law firm or something? I'd worked at a couple firms and stuff. And I was being told I was overqualified, like crazy. The economy was down, and so I was on the other end of the spectrum. And several of them said, you've learned so much and had so much experience, why don't you go teach and speak and write books and show people the stuff you've learned, because there's a lot of that they don't get. And so I did. And the light bulb went off, and here we are talking about Life's Cheat Sheet, Crucial Success Habits School Never Taught You. I want to talk in the program today, we mentioned the student debt, and this is something you can use in negotiating your student debt. You can use negotiating, you've got an example in real life. You've got 5-step negotiations, and so much of us are scared to death of negotiations. We don't want to be confrontational. We feel like we'll probably buckle and lose. We don't like that whole process. You walk us through it, and it really makes sense, and it's things that we literally can use every day in our lives. It definitely is, and it's been my most natural skill set from way back. So I put this 5-step process together, and I'm going to use a used car I'm selling right now that a guy picks up in a couple days. So we're going to use this. You go back and research, and in this case you go into online stuff. You find out what's there. So autotrader.com, cars.com, eBay Motors. That shows you the number of vehicles like yours out there. And you can use this seller or buyer, but I'm going to use this as the seller side. Figure out what's out there that matches yours closely, miles, color, year, all that kind of stuff. And then also go to NADA.com, which is probably the best market valuation site, and find out what your car is valued at now. at this point, in miles, options, all that
And
stuff.
all of this is readily available.
Definitely, it's free in this case. So you do all the research, find out the who, what, when, why, that kind of stuff. And through that, you're going to gain leverage points, I call it. Things that are going to convince the other side that they want to go with what your position is, whatever that is. Gain those leverage points, but also develop your BATNAs, best alternative to a negotiated arrangement or agreement. And that means your plan B. How am I going to get out? What am I going to do if plan A doesn't work? And I go in and somebody offers me $5,000 less than I'm asking. Well, I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk. I'm going to give them where I'm at and move on. So that might be your plan B, but have several of those staggered in hierarchy. And so you've got the leverage points, you've got those, and I've already come up with several. I have real low miles. I have a car that is in pristine condition. I have a car that there aren't very many like it with the interior saddle leather. And now I'm got leverage points that I can use as counteracting points as I walk through this with the buyer. The objective criteria you add in is next, which I've already picked that up through AutoTrader and through NAD and the others. It's criteria that somebody else came up with that supports your point. So that's
So it's not just
criteria.
you
It's not
saying
my
something.
opinion.
You're quoting
Yes,
somebody
it's
else that's
somebody
saying the same
else's
thing. Gotcha.
objective criteria. You're bringing that in because that's going to support you heavily. And then you come up with an offer, concession, counteroffer strategy. What are you going to start? What am I going to list at? That's going to be obviously my high point. What would be my first point I might come down to? What are some other things like? In this case, I'm going to drive to an airport close to me and pick up this guy because he's coming in from Alabama. I'm in Ohio. I'm going to go pick him up and he's going to look through the car there. I've got tons of pictures on, but he's going to find out if he wants it. He's already paid me actually with a condition. And so those are different concessions and points that
we got about a minute when we come back,
Sure.
but in offer, how many times in real life do you say, this is my price, and people say, yes, I'm going to pay that? I can't imagine that
Very
happens
rare.
a whole lot.
Very rare.
So you really need plans B, C,
Yes,
D, whatever.
and that strategy of offer, concession,
Exactly.
counteroffer, and that kind of stuff in mind, and know your bottom line, your BATNA going out of there, because you know when you're going to walk.
Which is better than if they come back with a counter and you
Right.
don't have any strategy and you just cry and
You
walk
don't
away
wanna
from
wing
it
it.
because,
You don't want to wing it's bad because people don't respond well when they're winging it.
I'm sorry, I interrupted because I think so many people, I've done that before where it's like, oh, what do I do now?
Right.
Okay, fifth point.
Last point is if it applies, control the environment and the agenda. Home court advantage does apply at times. Let's say you're buying a house, maybe you want to not meet in their attorney's office, but neutral point or your attorney's office.
Exactly.
It makes you feel a little better. If anything you can do to take the pressure off you, if you're feeling pressure from a negotiation, get that advantage.
I love all that information. It's available in Jeff's book. Jeff Wilson has been our guest on This Week in America, and we'll have Jeff back for more programs. His website is lifescheatsheets.com. The book is Life's Cheat Sheet, Crucial Success Habits School Never Taught You. It's available all across the country. You can get the Kindle version. You can go to Amazon. You go to Barnes & Noble, wherever. All the information on that's available at his website, lifescheatsheets.com. And, of course, all the information is available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program. We'll have you back. So much good information. And we thank all of you for listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.